lost the little foxes. They're feasting on our vine. They're cruel,
And
they
we
are
are
hardly
back after a very long hiatus.
Yes.
I hope that our 3 listeners are doing well.
Write us a letter and tell us how you're doing,
Write
email
us a
or
letter and tell
something.
us how much you missed it so we can get inflated egos and everything else.
Right. We're changing the world one couple at a time, man.
We're trying. We're trying.
Literally one couple at a time.
Still putting in the work in for hours as always.
Yes.
The enemy. Woo! I don't like the enemy. The enemy is, and he's not a good person.
Hey, I was just thinking, because just kind of throw it in here, we had an amazing time a couple weekends ago. We went to a retreat, a very prophetic time, and I had to kind of twist your arm, but weren't you glad you went?
Should have listened to me.
Yeah, it was so good. We spent
It
3
was
days
good.
of complete. I mean, literally, we would get there at like 8 something in the morning, and we wouldn't leave until 8 or 9 o'clock at night.
Right.
And we had to drive 40 minutes one way, but it was long, but it was so good. And I feel like we got a lot of confirmation about, what God has for us. And I just want to encourage couples that listen to this,
Yeah.
how important it is for you guys. Yes, you need to get away and have fun and do vacation and stuff like that, but there's also just this amazing thing of just getting away to a retreat like that and hearing from the Lord together. Because I feel like God honored that, because He knew that that was a sacrifice for both of us.
Well, yeah, God honored it. But boy, the enemy woke up.
Man, it was intense. So, yeah.
Last week was a horrible week.
Listen, we got so many good things happened to us while we were at this retreat. When we got back, we prayed about, really canceling any assignment of the enemy, because we knew that he was going to hit us hard. We just didn't know how hard. And
Yes.
so we have been hit pretty hard with lots of different
Man.
crappy things the last 10 days, which was to be expected.
Yes.
But then we're not going to give up, and we're not going to cave, and we're not going to be like, fine, we just won't even seek God anymore. We're just going to go back into our hole.
Oh, we're never going to do that. Man.
Yeah. So that's a like a freebie for anybody listening. That just because God called you to something doesn't mean it's going to be easy. That would be ridiculous to think that, right?
Well, Jesus said himself, the road to heaven is narrow,
Yeah.
and the enemy's strong. He can push you either way off of it if you let him, but you got to keep your eyes straight ahead. Focus on the Lord.
He likes to play mental
Oh
games,
my
mind games,
gosh.
and that's really where it all happens, is in the mind. And if you can't be strong and learn how to um, develop the mind of Christ
Right.
in your marriage together,
Right.
both of you, it can
Absolutely.
be extremely difficult to survive what He
Well,
sends your way.
it's
So,
difficult to survive anyway, but if you don't
Mhm.
have a solid rock on your foundation, then it's going to be even harder.
but don't you think, like, even just the way that you think in surrendering even your thought processes to the Lord is,
Absolutely.
I think, one of the reasons we've survived is because
Yeah.
we've learned. I think we're still learning. We're always learning, but
Yeah.
okay, like, I just got in my flesh and I need to back up, or recognizing, like, when the enemy's coming at you
Right.
individually and together. So
Yeah.
anyway, He likes to divide and conquer for sure.
Okay.
So today we thought we would talk about, marriage coaching versus counseling, and maybe which one do you need as a couple?
And the stigma that goes behind them,
Uh-huh.
nobody wants to admit that. So
Yeah, like, how many couples really need to be in counseling or coaching, but they won't because they're ashamed?
I think every couple should go to counseling at least every once in a while, just to
Yeah.
hash out things they don't agree with, just to get everything out in the open, because there's always going to be one or two things you don't agree on. And if you don't reconcile those through a coach or a counselor, um, I think that it's going to just sit there and fester.
Mm.
So maybe I'm not saying you got to do it all the time, but once a year, talk to someone, and then if you've got more issues deep down, then you go see them more.
Yeah, I think maybe in the beginning you need to go through cycles of it. So I think for us, we did a good solid, would you say, 6 or 9 months
Yeah,
of
definitely. Pretty
because you were
intensive.
going individually. I did some individual counseling too, and then we
Right.
were going as a couple and getting counseling from the same counselor.
Yeah.
And that's before we got into coaching, which we're going to explain in a minute what the difference between counseling and coaching is.
Absolutely.
Because you really do, you may need either or you may need both.
Yeah.
So initially, I would say, because counseling is more about looking back and figuring out what caused this issue. And it's not so much about planning and moving forward and building together. It's more about, okay, what happened to cause it?
Right.
And it could be like we look, and I would highly recommend people, and this can get expensive, but we had the VA, so it wasn't expensive for us. But I think so many times, like when people go into couples counseling, what they're ready to pounce and they're
Yes.
ready to tell the counselor how bad the other person is.
Yeah, you can't use the counselor as a springboard to attack your spouse. That
Yeah.
is not what it is for. I don't think we ever did
And I
that.
think, well, I
Yeah.
don't think so. I think a couple of times the other person would just kind of like word vomit, and then
Yeah.
it would be like,
Well, I think you feel like you're in a safe space and you
yeah,
can say
and
whatever you want
yeah,
as
yeah,
opposed
because there's
to
a referee there.
there's a referee. There's no pots and pans. There's no knives, no knives anywhere.
And
So
sometimes, I know you got to hash it out like that, but I
sometimes.
think there comes a point in time where you have to say, okay, we're not getting any
Right.
further along by constantly looking back. And
Right.
I think, y- you know, if you have a good counselor, they'll tell you that, hey
Yep.
guys, we have looked back as much as we can. And I
Absolutely.
think you're at a point where we need to start looking forward. Well, that's kind of where a counselor, they can provide some input and kind of help you, but they're not really trained to do coaching.
No, they're really not. Counselors aren't coaches. Counselors sit there and listen to your problem and they try to give you moderation more. They moderate, I guess, what we call it, huh?
Yeah, I think that because I've been trained to counsel, and one of the things that you're taught to do is not to tell people what to think. You're
Right.
actually kind of trying to let them have a revelation as they talk.
Absolutely.
Or you are there to say, hey, why do you believe that? Because a
Right.
lot of times what you're hearing is they're believing these lies, which is where so much of the difficulty in a marriage comes from, is because one or both people believe lies about themselves, about each other. And they literally, that lie to them is truth. And so they build their whole marriage or their whole situation on this lie. And the counselor's job is to question that. Is this really the truth? This thing you're
Yes.
believing? Because, they're outside and they're objective and they can see if someone's believing something that's not benefiting them because it's not true. Because we
Absolutely.
know that anything that's not truth is obviously a lie. All lies come from Satan and they all breed destruction.
They all do.
They all do. So I
Absolutely.
think for us, there was a time that we had to look back because I'm like, why in the heck did this just happen? Like, I had
Right.
no idea about your PTSD. I mean, you had told me before, but I thought it was like, okay, well, you're good. You handled it. I didn't know that it was like so deep down.
Well, it's just as much my fault. I thought that I had it under control. I didn't control mine for 20 years before it finally came to a head. But, that, yeah, yeah, that was definitely one of the issues behind us is my post-traumatic stress
Well, I
disorder.
think so many people that do have the severity of PTSD or any kind of
Yeah. There's,
mental
and,
disorder like that, they don't know how bad it is.
right. And there's other guys out there who are worse than I ever was.
Yeah, yeah,
There are
like they
guys
can't
out there who
even,
can't function.
like their personal hygiene is
Yeah.
like they don't take baths, they don't brush their teeth because they're
Yeah.
so messed up.
They are so
They
messed
don't
up.
go
Their
out in
families,
public.
yeah, families fall apart. And the one thing about a vet, if you take everything from him, he has nothing else to live for. And it's not the vet's fault, you know. Well, there are some actions that are inexcusable.
Mhm.
Physical violence is never a thing. But now, if a vet is full blown flashback, the best thing you can do is just stay present, but stay away because
Stay away
he doesn't see. Stay a distance.
because you
You
feel
know.
threatened if
Yeah, yeah. But don't leave him there or video record it.
and that was hard because this this will probably be hard for you to hear, but when you tried to kill yourself that day, I walked up on you, me and my mom did, and you had the gun, and I really thought that I could talk you down, but I don't know if I could have. I don't know. You know,
I
you
don't know.
you were pretty determined, but I just kept thinking if I can get closer to him and just kind of calm you down and let you know, like you weren't being threatened,
Right.
you were okay. But I think at that point you had already snapped.
Yeah, I had.
You don't even remember that.
I don't remember anything really, just flashes
You
of
don't
here and
remember
there.
talking to me and me coming up there.
Mm. It
Yeah,
all kind of goes dark after I pulled up there.
yeah. It was, yeah,
Yeah.
it was a lot. But
Okay. So we have done both. We have done coaching. We have done marriage counseling. The one thing I would say about counseling that people probably need to know and they don't do it is it focuses on healing the past.
yeah,
It's not for the present. Okay, in my mind, healing the past means it gets to the root cause
yeah, which is
of.
super important.
It is super important because if you don't pull out the root, the weeds just gonna grow right back
Yeah,
again.
right.
So you've got to either spray pesticide on it or you've got to pull it out.
Yeah.
And look, guys, I know that a lot of us are macho and we think that
You don't have any issue.
we don't have any issues.
Yeah.
This is all my old lady's fault. First off, don't ever call her your old lady. That is
That
very
sounds like my dad.
disrespectful. I think that I would be sleeping in the guest room if I called you my old lady
My
in
old
public.
lady.
But I think that
Mm.
it's normal to be to have a certain type of confidence as a man. I mean, that's what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be brave. We're supposed to be strong.
Mhm.
We're supposed to be the protectors. But marriage counseling also makes you very vulnerable. And that's a hard thing that men have to
Yeah,
do,
do you think
especially
that's why there's
fathers.
such an aversion to it with men?
Yeah,
They don't want to go. They're like, I don't have any problem.
right. But it's very important to find someone who is licensed, who has training to address the trauma, the mental
Okay,
health,
now,
and all that.
so yeah, I mean, I can see that with somebody who has legit PTSD and they've been diagnosed and the severity of it. I can see that.
Yeah,
I do, and this is where I maybe a little bit disagree or differ with you. Maybe I don't really disagree. I just think that I've seen such tremendous healing and growth through spiritual counseling with people.
yeah,
Whether I was getting spiritual counseling or I was giving spiritual counseling, because here's why: because the Holy Spirit's in it now. Okay, a lot of secular counselors who are not Christians,
right.
the Holy Spirit is not involved in that
Well,
conversation.
they've
You
got to
know.
stay agnostic in their practice because they can't go either way because you might, God
But do I
forbid, you
I
offend
know,
someone.
but can't you find a Christian counselor? Because there are Christian counselors that are licensed that you
Yeah,
can
you
absolutely
can, but
talk
how
about
many
it.
men do you know that are going to want to call them? Hey, are you a Christian counselor? Men don't do that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
so
woman.
sad to me. That is such a I really wish the stigma of getting counseling would just die,
Well,
you know?
especially a man is taught that drag his knuckles will be macho.
Right.
Well, most men are. There are some men out there that don't even know what that means. But, we're taught to carry the weight. If somebody asks us if something's wrong, you say, I'm fine.
Do you think that
That
the
is a normal answer.
church
I think that,
do you think the church in general perpetuates the idea that men shouldn't get counseling?
well, our situation, we asked for help from
Oh my
2 or 3
gosh.
different churches,
Well, yeah, so
and
let me
nothing
back
happened.
up. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna knock any churches. I'm just gonna say
right.
that when this happened, we were going to a specific church,
Yeah.
and
Our church
I
now.
talked to the pastor. This is a big church, and I said, do you guys have any counselors? No, we don't, but we can recommend some. And I'm thinking, has the church gotten so scared to what are they afraid they're going to get sued? Are they afraid
Yeah.
they? Do you know, like, honestly, the most help I've ever gotten has been through spiritual counseling,
Yep.
and it broke my heart. And then we went somewhere else, and it no, no, actually the meeting we had with that one was really good, but there was no follow through, and we weren't able to get the counseling that we needed, that we
Mhm.
asked for. The spirit, and I'm realizing how badly people need spiritual counseling.
Right. I agree with you.
Because, I mean, what do you think about, like, the root of most people's issues? Do you think it's spiritual at the core, or do you think it just
I think that Christianity in its purest essence gives you a firm foundation for right and wrong.
Mhm.
And I think that if you don't have that foundation, and I'm not saying that not everybody who's not a Christian is a bad person, because I've known some people who weren't
Yeah,
Christians that were good
yeah,
people,
right.
but I think that Christianity gives you a firm foundation on that.
Mhm.
If you don't have that firm foundation to lean on, then you kind of just go wherever.
Well, I also think yes, there's that, but I think there is like apart from God, we don't really have a moral compass that's true. Apart from God, we have an empty void
Yeah.
inside of us. And I feel like so many things that people end up doing, whether most of it's falling into addiction or falling into bad thinking habits or
Right.
falling whatever, it's because they don't have this relationship with God that they keep looking for, and they're looking for it in wrong places.
Right.
So that's why I say I think so much of it's spiritual. Because
Mm.
let's even look back with you. We've talked about this in other episodes. Had you had that really strong foundation, even though you were neglected as a child,
Mm.
possibly you wouldn't have went down that road had you experienced God's love and you knew Him the way you
Right.
do now, right?
Right.
So it was like a
Absolutely.
spiritual problem, I
Well, I was
think.
taught religion a lot.
Yeah, you were taught religion and not like,
And
and I'm not,
not,
yeah, not relationship at all. Just
yeah,
like,
I never really had any type of firm foundation on relationships because my dad was never home.
yeah,
My mom practically raised us, and
right,
she's got her own touch issues.
yeah,
But yeah, so growing up like that, when you become an adult, you're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna be like my dad.
yeah,
You
because you
know,
don't know any different.
you don't know any different, so you don't have that firm foundation to know right and wrong because men, listen to me. Your kids are watching you with your wife. They're watching you with your significant other, and they're taking notes, whether they admit it or not, whether they are, whether they're in the room or whether they're in the other room and they hear you talk to your spouse.
Hmm.
They are taking notes, and the way that you treat your wife is the example that they're going to have when they get older.
Yeah,
And then they're going to be like, I'm going to be just like my dad. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. Well, today's women are not cool with that. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's a lot different than the 50s.
yeah,
And women now have a voice. They can stand up on their own. They have a firm foundation without us. So
hmm,
I think that it's very, very, very important for men to look at, instead of looking at it as just your wife, you're
hmm.
my partner. Everything. Our businesses are like this. They're all tied together.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and
You
I think
know.
in the South there's still a lot of that.
Oh yeah, old
Kind of
South.
like you said, my old lady, she does what I tell her to do. She just needs to go in there and cook and clean. And I get it. Obviously, that's not a godly Christian perspective, because
Yeah.
like there may be seasons of your marriage and your life where maybe the wife is more the supportive or
Right.
a person with the finances because maybe the husband's finishing college or maybe
Yeah.
it was like what you had to heal so you couldn't really work. So
Absolutely.
that kind of stuff, those kind of stereotype things in the South have to die.
Well, the South will rise again. That's what everybody
What?
believes. Now, I was born in Vicksburg, Mississippi, the very, very
Yeah,
heart of the Civil War.
yeah.
So I think that was the last great battle, wasn't it? Was the Civil War or
Well,
the
I
one in
don't
New Orleans?
disagree with everything Southern, but I do disagree with some of that
Yeah, the Southern
toxic
mentality.
masculinity.
Well,
Masculinity,
women in the Deep South were, I'm not saying they were viewed as property, but they were viewed, not heard, very
Yes, a
often.
lot of times they weren't
A lot of
educated.
times they
Yeah,
weren't educated. Men were educated, but the women a lot of times they were expected to do just a couple of things:
mm-hmm.
cook, clean, have babies, and that was
Right.
it. And the more
Yeah,
babies, the better, because you had to
yeah.
work the farm.
And that's the old, that's the
Yeah,
way the old world was. I
right.
mean, that didn't change until honestly, I would say like
The
what
80s.
World War II,
Yeah,
because women started having to work, and that kind of created a revolution. But get off topic. Anyways, okay, so we just want to say also, because this has really bothered me when I look back, because when I have the opportunity to speak, sometimes I share, in churches, I share at women's conferences, I tell a little bit of our story. And what really breaks my heart is how so many women come up to me and they say, that's my story too, but I
yeah,
don't have anybody to talk to about it. I'm so
absolutely.
ashamed. If everybody in the church knew, they would like pick us out. And I'm thinking, are you kidding? The church is for the sick. Jesus came. I didn't come for the well people. I
Come
came for the
on.
sick,
The
you
church is for
know?
the feel good message.
Yeah. So it just bothers me that like where do
Yeah.
people go? I mean, if we can't create a safe space and place for people to come, which I think is why God's called you and I into this because what are you doing?
Oh, my mic just fell, so
I
I'm just gonna
think
hold it by hand like a.
I think God called us into this because we are okay with it being messy with people.
Right.
But, it's going to be
Yeah.
messy, it's going to be ugly. When you get into people's problems and you start hearing what they go through in their marriage, your jaw can hit the ground. But at the same
Absolutely.
time, you're like, you know what? I'm not afraid of this and I'm not going to condemn you. You would be shocked at how many people, one or the other in the marriage, is trapped in pornography, one or the other is trapped in some kind of addiction they can't get out of. I mean,
Absolutely.
swingers and stuff like that. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that I
Yeah.
hear when I'm talking to people,
Oh,
that I'm like,
it's in
holy,
every town,
it's going on everywhere. And how
every
many people
church,
tell me
every
that? It's not
town.
just like one person. Like
Yeah,
it's all over the place.
it
I mean,
is.
I've watched one time. I watched a Dateline episode,
Yeah.
and the it was so sad because the whole story was this girl who was a great, wonderful little Christian girl married this guy, and he was a Christian too. And then all of a sudden, he just got hooked up into like this pornography world. Then he talked her into having um, this swinging lifestyle, and they all started sleeping together with all these other couples.
That's
Well, then
gross.
she,
Uh,
one of the guys that was in part of this got into her head, talked her out of just like, hey, he convinced her that God was speaking to
yeah,
him, and he was saying
yeah,
we're supposed to be together, and she was like, yeah, we're supposed to be together. Well, then he murdered the husband.
he did.
I mean, that's the kind of crap that happens. Usually doesn't go that far, right? But
Yeah.
you'd be surprised how many Christians, and I know people personally, that somebody in the church, like the music person, had an affair with a congregant, and they had justified it in their mind.
Well, I think that that's the father of all lies
Yeah.
doing that. I think that that's the enemy saying, you know what, this is why this is happening. It's justification. Your wife doesn't appreciate you.
Yeah,
She doesn't
yeah,
respect you.
exactly.
But you know what? You can make yourself feel good by having an affair with this woman over here who is just, she has thoughts for you, man. I can see it in her eyes
Mhm.
whenever you walk into the room. And before you even know it, it's happening.
But also,
And
yeah, but
but that's why you got to put on the
could it
full
be
armor, man.
prevented if, like, if the church was
Ah,
ready and willing to help people's marriage in crisis, like before it got to that point?
well,
Could the worship pastor who was having problems in his marriage actually go and get counseling and not be condemned?
no.
No, exactly.
Yep, they can't do it.
They can't have
It's
problems.
because the church has put this stigma on infidelity, and as okay, I didn't say that right.
No,
The
you're
church has put a stigma on marital problems
yes.
because if you're going to church, you've got to put on this
You don't have
image of I
problems.
have a perfect life,
Yes.
I've got a perfect husband, I've got a perfect wife. We never disagree. We are here to serve the Lord. God is our
And all of your
foundation.
Facebook posts are like, "Aren't we amazing? We're so happy."
Yeah, ours isn't like that. But you know, we've got to get past the stigma of
Yeah.
marital problems because marital problems are very real. They come up every
Mhm.
day,
Mhm.
and we've got to get past the stigma of marital counseling and marital
Yeah.
coaching.
Yeah, and I want to say, like, on that, because now I want to kind of piggyback and go into marriage coaching, because
Yeah.
the kind of marriage coaching that you and I do, we do some looking back. It's not that we don't do
Well,
that.
yeah, but it's in a different
It
aspect.
is, and so we come alongside, and I would say we're kind of good partners with the counselor. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
get some of this deep stuff dealt with your counselor,
Right.
and but also there are moments when at some point you have to go, listen, I'm sick and tired of talking about my childhood. I'm ready to move on. I'm sick and tired of dwelling on our
Yeah.
problems. Let's figure out a solution to move forward.
This
Because like
mic is kicking my
you're driving me
tail
crazy. I
over
don't know
here.
what you're doing, but it's
Well,
like
I'd like to
driving
have
me
that effect on you, baby, but the mic is
yeah,
just like,
like you
dude,
need to tighten it down there.
down here.
No, right here.
Oh, I didn't know there was one there.
Yeah.
Ah, okay, I can use a saw, but I can't operate a mic stand.
Yeah, I may have to cut this part
Okay,
out. Anyway,
there. All right.
he's been over there fidgeting for 10 minutes with
I
this
am so
mic,
sorry.
y'all.
It
It's
just
like a
fell into my
kid who
lap. What
won't
am I
like be
supposed to
still.
do? You know?
Anyways.
See, there we go.
Yeah,
That's it.
so what were
But
we
we
saying?
resolved.
Okay, so coaching. So
Uh-huh.
we focus on we do some looking back with our
Mm-hmm.
clients, but we're
Yes.
not going to stay in the looking back where,
Right.
I'm constantly blaming you because you do this thing over here and it gets on my nerves.
Right.
And why won't you stop doing it? And we're just focused on the silly things, and we're
Yes.
focused on the past, and we're focused on, well, I cheated on her because she did this. Da, 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 da.
Right.
I'm not saying that stuff doesn't matter, but if you keep talking about it for the rest of your
Absolutely.
life, you're
Yep.
never going to move forward,
You
right?
never are because it's an anchor, and that's what happens
Mm,
with a large ship. Is the ship has two anchors.
yeah.
It drops it down, and it holds that ship in place. And if you've got some baggage you're carrying from the past, you can't move forward. It's going to hold you down because you're just going to build up resentment. So marriage coaching that we do, it it does, like you said, does go a little bit into the past, but we teach you how to pull up that anchor and teach conflict resolution.
Hmm.
We're
Hmm.
like, we don't have anything in common. Well, you know what? I didn't
Really?
think that either until we got
You didn't
to,
think we had anything in common?
well, I mean, outdoors. You're not outdoors.
You say that, but I am. I like to be out.
Yeah.
I just don't like to get bitten by snakes or mosquitoes or things like that.
So once you go through the course or you go through a marriage counselor, then you realize, you know what? We got a lot in common. We've got a lot, you know. And one good thing to help you and I is we're good communicators.
Are we?
I think we are.
We try.
Not always that way, but I think
Let
most
me
of the time.
like what if you could describe the marriage reboot experience, what would you say was the
Oh,
biggest takeaway for you? Like the good part, you know?
yeah. Well, I think it taught me that as a man, oh gosh, I don't know how to word this. Okay, you go first and then I'll go after you.
Yeah, I think the marriage reboot really opened my eyes to what kind of life do we want to build and
Uh-huh.
how do we build it? And
Right.
and more so how let's discern God's purpose for our marriage because we want to at the end of our life, at the end of our marriage, we want to say, man, we accomplished the things that God had for us to do,
Right.
right? So in
Yes.
order to do that, we had to get on the same page. But what is the
Yes.
page if you don't even know what God's purpose and you don't have a discernment and you guys don't have an
Right.
agreement about what that looks like? Because honestly, even now, we're moving into that purpose. Some of the things that we talked about was you building the business that you're building. We
Yes,
talked about as
absolutely.
part of the marriage purpose. We talked about me continuing to grow my business. We talked about certain elements and parts of our lives that we're still working on, like some of the
Yes.
fitness and eating stuff.
Yes.
We're not doing well,
We did
but
that today.
we were trying to build this map, not like legalistically, and we have to stick to the map. But I mean, we were saying, okay, we are like, we're all over the place. What are we doing here?
Right.
So that's what for me, what it did.
Yeah, and I think it taught me that you're not the enemy.
Mhm.
It taught me that
You thought
it's
I was
okay.
your enemy?
No, 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 but it taught me that it's okay to come talk to you and be vulnerable.
Yeah, true,
You know,
true.
oh gosh, it's so intense. Coaching is such an intense
Yeah,
thing.
some of the in the marriage, and I'm not trying to like sell the marriage reboot. I
No.
just want people to understand like how important it is to do this, but or something like this. But it has different components, right?
Yeah.
Or what are they called? Not components. Another word, not modules. I don't know. Anyways, so there's different areas of your life, and it's things like finances. It's things like what are your dreams? What there's things like what are your core beliefs?
Right.
What are your hobbies and activities?
Yes.
And so, what you do is you kind of work through this separately, but also together. And you come together and you start to see a picture of
Mhm.
here's what we have in common, here's how we're different, but here's how our differences help us accomplish God's purpose.
Right.
And so, when you start to get on the same page and you have the same vision, then your
Yes.
differences and your fight, what you were fighting about, don't matter anymore.
No, it doesn't. You realize how small they
How
actually
stupid it
are.
was.
And then you really do realize that you guys have a lot in common, that you're
Yeah,
more compatible than what you thought.
yeah. It brings unity.
It really does.
It brings unity in
It
a
really
way that
does.
I've never seen before. So I would just highly recommend it. And I also want to say on that note, because a marriage reboot is an investment of time and money, no doubt. But if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know that I want to go all in because it's a 2 day ordeal. It's like I said, it's a chunk of money, right?
Yeah,
Well worth it. I think it's one of the best things we've ever done,
it
and the
was.
money that we've spent on it. But
Takes patience.
yeah, yeah. But also, we have courses that we can take people through that are going to be not so in depth, but they're
Right.
still really good.
Yeah. We
We
feed
have,
you.
Yeah,
We
6 to 10 weeks of some of these courses. They're six
yeah,
to 10 weeks, and we may do those in like group formats. I don't know yet.
right,
We haven't decided after the first of the year,
right,
but we can take people through the courses, and it's a slower pace, but it's
absolutely,
a lot of the same material. It just doesn't go as in depth, but it might be more of a fit for some people, you know.
right. It might be.
So
It requires dedication.
for
If
sure.
both parties are not dedicated to it, it's not going to work. And you know, I think counseling and coaching are very, very important, and they need to work
Mhm.
together.
Mhm.
You need to take what you learn from the counseling. Like, okay, so I used to be a nurse, and we'd always get these big wounds, right?
Mhm.
So counseling is more like you're packing that wound
Mm.
with honey gauze, or you're packing it with drainage swab, or
Yeah.
packing it and put a big bandage on it. Well, that's more like counseling,
Mm.
is that you heal the wound to
Yeah.
where it's just a tiny little dot, and then coaching comes in and helps you build new things
Kind of
like
like physical
goals.
therapy, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, I've kind
Like
of seen counseling as
after
therapy.
the like well physical therapy, so like no, like after the counseling is like the wound
Yeah,
healing. But like let's say you had to have a surgery to fix like your shoulder was messed up.
right.
So you had surgery, but then you had to go through physical therapy after the surgery, and I feel like coaching is like that because what it does is it teaches you how to move forward with this
Absolutely.
new way of whatever it is that
Yes.
happened.
Yeah, counseling kind of like removes the infection of the wound, and
Yeah.
then coaching helps to build the muscle up. It helps the
Mhm.
muscle work with other muscles. It builds unity,
Yeah.
is what
Yeah.
it does. It teaches you that, hey, a tree with strong roots is
Mhm.
better than an oak tree that has wide spreading roots. A
Yeah.
pine tree's taproot is tall as the tree
Mm,
is tall.
really?
So,
And
yeah,
that's my least favorite tree, but okay.
it ain't coming down
Because we
without a
have them
fight.
everywhere here,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
everywhere,
our yard's full of them.
all over East Texas.
Yeah,
So that's a good analogy, I think,
yeah,
to for people to understand that you probably, if depending on where your marriage is, okay, like if you're in crisis mode,
yeah,
you might need to jump into some counseling,
yeah.
and get
At
some of that.
first,
Just like you said, the wounds. Oftentimes, when you're in a situation like what we were in, the wounds were so deep, and there was so much grief that we were both walking through. There was the grief in my heart, but there was a grief in your heart because you had done the things. But then
yes,
there was also you trying to figure out why in the heck did you do them in the first place?
right,
Really come into the terms with what you had been through, and you're still going through a lot of that counseling with
right,
what had happened in the military, but also like your childhood. How did that play into the addiction?
yeah,
Trying to get to the bottom of that because, like, you do need to know that,
right.
but you don't need to stay there.
You don't need to stay there. Well, with instance of post-traumatic stress disorder, it's always
Hmm.
there. But you learn different ways. You learn different ways of coping with it. You recognize triggers. Like, you know me like an encyclopedia. You can tell when I'm having a moment.
Yeah,
And
today you had to use your Call My Go.
oh man, that was rough. Oh,
Yeah, that's
yeah, okay. So I'm not affiliated with Calm I Go. I'm not an
what you
endorser,
gotta
but
tell them what Call My Go is. They don't know.
okay, Calm I Go is this inhaler, basically what it is. The breathing technique, and it's almost like pursed mouth breathing.
Yeah,
And what you do is this little thing. It looks like a, what do they call those
inhaler
things? It
kind of.
looks like an inhaler,
Yeah.
and it comes scented. You can get different little attachments to it.
Lavender and such.
Lavender. There's one that like cinnamon,
Yeah.
and then there's another. I can't remember what the other one was. But you put that little attachment on there, and you turn it on, and you just breathe in through your nose really,
Hmm.
really deep, as you can. And then when you start breathing out, you breathe out through this little machine. And what this machine does is it's got three lights on it. And
Hmm.
it goes ding, 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 and a real long buzz at the end of the third light.
Yeah.
And that tells you to inhale. Your
Hmm.
exhale is done. And what that Calm Igo does is it focuses your attention on your breathing. It
Yeah.
helps you reset your vagal nerve, the fight or flight response. It helps you
Hmm.
reset that. It helps your brain say, okay, I'm safe.
Right.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
fine. Nothing is wrong right now. Everything is okay. I'm in a good spot. Nobody's going to hurt me.
Yeah.
I use it, and I'm going to tell you guys, I love it.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're not affiliated with them. We're not getting anything for this.
Yeah. It was actually something the VA
Yeah, the VA
told me to
paid
do
for it.
it.
The
Yeah.
VA paid for it for me. Now, I've got a great team I don't know how everybody else's experience is with their team leader in the VA, but my team leader has been nothing but exceptional for us.
Yeah, and if you don't have a good one that you
You
like,
can fire and get another
yeah, get
one.
another one,
Yeah,
man.
you go to a
Yeah.
different team. Teams are never full, quote unquote. They're just
Mhm.
you can tell who has the best because it has more people in it.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but yeah, definitely. If you're having and anybody for any type of anxiety disorder, you know, the
Mhm.
Calm is CALMIGO,
Yeah. Calm I
and
go.
it is well worth. I carry it in my truck with me on my way to work, on the way to job sites.
Well, no,
Um,
and that's the kind of stuff that counseling has taught you, and
yes,
that's why it is important, especially I think with people who have an official true diagnosis
right.
where it's physiological. Okay, so like your brain, people with PTSD, your brain doesn't work like mine.
It's been completely rewired.
It's
I
been
was
rewired. So,
blown away when I
uh,
heard.
short of God healing you, you have to do things differently than
Yeah,
I do. Although
absolutely.
I do think I have PTSD.
Well,
It's
we
just not
both
to the
do. We
level that
both
you
have
do.
some messed up issues.
I think with you though, you've learned in counseling to recognize when you're getting out of control and you're spiraling into it.
Right,
And they've given you tools and things like that. Also,
right,
you do, I mean, the medication things, like that, obviously, but
right.
I
Well, I
think,
think that's where coaching comes in
hmm
because you've got to have a partner,
hmm
and coaching can. Okay, so trying to say this the right way. Um, okay, so coaching is going to teach you to be a team because the coach
true.
teaches a coach trains a team
Hmm
to accomplish a goal, whether it's
True.
football, basketball, soccer, or hockey. It teaches you to get to the end goal, the end
hmm
zone, home run, goal in hole in one, whatever.
Right.
So that's what a coach is going to do, and then that couple is going to take what that coach teaches and they're going to put it into practice.
Yeah.
And that coach is going to tell you, okay, here's the triggers that are going to affect him, and here's the triggers that you do that affect her, and then you work on it together. And then that's and the so in that way, there, I think coaching
But
is,
you got to be healthy to do
but
it,
you got
which
to be
is why
healthy
you
to
had to
do
go through
it.
counseling. Because if you had a
Yes.
broken leg, you can't go play in the football game, right?
No, you
You
can't
got to
jump
get
straight into
healing.
that.
So, and I think with coaching, a good coach sees the differences and the strengths and weaknesses in
Yes.
each player, and they put them in specific positions because, oh, they're really strong, and they don't try to play them in a place where they're weak, right?
No.
And I think that's what you have to do in a marriage. So it's like if I'm really good at this one thing, and you're
Yes.
average or you're below average in it or whatever, or vice versa, like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to go outside and saw and cut down trees. I
Right.
can't do it,
Right.
and you're not gonna come in here and try to make soap,
No,
or
that's not
whatever,
my
or write a
thing.
song or something,
Yeah.
like,
I
or
use
do
the
mortgage
soap, but
loans
I'm
or
not gonna
something.
make it.
Yeah, and I
So
think that's the benefit of going through coaching is because you start to recognize, hey, we're not on opposite team, we're on the same team, and you're really good at this one thing.
right.
So I'm just gonna like turn you loose, and I'm gonna stop manhandling you in this one area because like you're actually really good at it, and I suck.
Right.
So let me get out of the way. Like I think you start to realize that you're on the same team.
Right. Absolutely. And then when you
Yeah.
realize you're on the same team, then you can come up with different plays to accomplish the goal that you want to
Oh, how
accomplish.
fun!
But, but.
Yeah, new plays. Like
Yeah, it's not always
yeah. So
fun.
what was that one thing we were listening to? What Red? What was that? He was saying they only had one play and they just ran it the whole
Oh
game.
yeah, it was a sweep right.
Sweep right, right, sweep right. So they only had
What
one
was that?
play.
Was that college or pro?
No, it was that little retreat we went to, and he was a
Yeah,
coach. He had been a football
he had been a
coach,
high
and
school football coach, and he said my players were. He said they weren't very smart. He's like, I tried to teach them the playbook, and they could never get it right. So he said we came up with this idea to just
uh,
teach them one play,
one play.
and he's like, we ran that play the
The
entire game, sweep right, sweep right. And he said the coach on the other side of the field was just raising hands like, man, what are you doing?
right, right,
But it was effective
and they
because
won the game.
they won the game. And they hadn't won a game in what, a year or two. They were a
Yeah, they
terrible
had
football team.
lost and they were terrible, and
Yeah,
I think that's so funny because like in a marriage, you might not have a lot of plays in your playbook, but the one that you do have and it's
right.
working, keep doing it.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
don't
Keep
change.
sweep right, sweep right. Keep sweeping right. Forget I was on the left hand side because they're just as confused as everybody else is, right?
Like, are they going to do that
S-
sweep right again?
So,
Yeah, they just kept doing it. Yeah,
so keep sweeping right. And then he said the next week we taught him another play. And he said by
yeah.
the end of the season,
I think they
we
had
were a
like
good team and we had like 5 plays that
5
we could
plays.
run.
like, get the one play down. I think in your
Yeah,
marriage, get the one play down first.
absolutely.
Stop trying to do all these other things,
Well,
you
if you
know?
try to do too many things at once, then you're going to be confused.
Yeah.
And I think that marriage is I think marriage is fragile enough
Yeah.
without throwing a whole bunch of things at it at one time. So start off with one play,
Mhm.
learn that play, sweep right, sweep left. You know, that way I do an I-3 or do
Mhm.
a post out to the left. Do whatever kind of play you want to
We
do.
just lost all the women. They
We
just
just
quit
like they're
listening.
like, what?
They
I don't
zoned
know
out.
now. There's some pretty women out there pretty volatile about football sometimes
I
too.
think they're just looking at the men on the
Yeah.
football screen.
Like
I'm
what?
sorry. I don't. I'm like, do y'all really know what's going on? Or y'all just looking at these men?
Yeah.
You need
I'm
to
not looking
pray.
at that guy in the white pants. I'm
You're
not looking at
not.
him
They
at
are.
all. That's what I mean. That's what
Yeah.
they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so it coaching really just teaches you just to act as a team. Like our play right now,
Act as a team.
act as
Imagine
a
that.
team. Yeah, and that's what
If
marriage is all
more marriages,
about.
it is your team,
But
man. I
have you
think
ever
people
heard of that
forget it.
before?
Yeah, I think.
I never heard.
I mean, I've been there where you're just like, "Ugh," not with
Absolutely.
you, not
Well,
with
you've
you,
been
but
there with me too.
no, no, but I've never seen you as my enemy. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
no.
And I hate it. I hate it for people when their marriage gets so far and then it gets into contempt because contempt is
Right.
hard to reverse.
And I'm gonna tell you
You
guys
know.
one thing that you should not do. Okay? When your wife is talking to you,
Oh, yeah.
give her your
I
undivided
noticed that
attention.
you learned that lesson and you were
I know they
listening
did
to
learn
me
that
today. You
lesson.
looked me in the eyes while I was talking. I'm like, why are you looking at me in the eyes?
Right, right. Your cell phone is not important.
Okay,
Um,
let's tell them what happened. They don't know.
right. Okay, so this morning we're sitting here,
Was
and,
it
and
this
I had to
morning? It
drive to a
was.
big city about an hour and a half away
It's so
for
big, Shreveport.
an eye appointment. And I was getting my eyes dilated. So I was on there, I was on the phone and I was scrolling through Facebook and all this other stuff. And I was sending a client of mine, emails and then a text message. And she's talking to me. And she stops and she's like, "What do you think?" I'm like,
This went on. I did this 4 or 5 times, by the
"Yeah."
way.
And I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's good."
I
Lying,
said,
because I ain't heard a word she
no,
said.
nothing. You didn't hear nothing I
Nothing.
said.
And that caused a little bit of a disagreement. So guys, put your phones down, men and women.
I know I do it too, but
She does it a lot more than I
I
do.
tell you when if you start talking to me, I'll say just a minute. I stop you
No,
because I don't.
not
I try
always.
to. I if unless I'm completely zoned out, like
But see, and that's what happened this morning. I was completely gone.
you work on, but
And
it
in
just
my
kept
mind, it's
happening.
like, can't you see that my mind is on Mars right now? I mean, my mind is in a
No, but
different
that one time you were
galaxy.
staring at. You weren't even looking at your phone. You were staring at some object on
I
the.
was staring at that stupid
And I'm
diffuser that
like,
looks like an egg.
hello.
Yeah, I was staring at that egg over there, and I'm like, and I don't even know what I was getting out of it.
I don't either.
I didn't get a good
So we
feeling or
had a
anything,
little bit of a situation this morning,
but we
and
worked
then
it out.
sort of, and then I noticed that he said before we went left, you said, "Let's stop at Denny's and eat breakfast, my treat or whatever." So we
Yeah.
stopped, and then I was talking to you, and you were looking at me in the eyes like you used to do when we first got together, like really. And I'm like, "What are you looking at me like that for?" I'm like, "Are
Yeah.
you in love with me, like a lot
Well, of
right now or
course I
something?"
am.
But it was like weird. Like, "Are you
Yeah.
okay?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is you're trying to fix that thing that
Yeah.
happened this
You
morning."
trained me for 12 hours. Congratulations. But now,
Oh
tit for
gosh.
tat, right? Tit for tat. It goes both ways, you
Yes,
know?
I did it to you today too. I was on my phone trying to answer work emails.
And here's what I love. I love whenever I'm talking to you, like, yeah, mm-hmm, right, really? Yeah, mm-hmm. Oh,
I think
God, I
we should
love this
just
woman.
throw our phones out the door sometimes. I
Well,
really do,
well, yeah, I wish I could.
It's hard
I
when you
keep
own
saying
your
I was
own
going to get a
business.
rotary phone or something.
Yeah, when you own your own business and you have to keep your phone on you all
You
the time,
do.
it can turn into a real problem for
It
your marriage
can.
if both of you are doing it,
Well, that's where you got to prioritize things. See, and I'm
Yeah.
lucky because my job is outside of the house.
Yeah.
So when I leave the job site, my job
Yeah, I never
ends.
leave the job
And
site.
but you live in your job, you
I
live
work
in
from
your
home, yeah.
office. And back when I was doing that, it worked because we were both together all the time.
Yeah.
But now when I come home, I don't get home to
Yeah,
what,
it's been a
7?
transition because you started back to work. So now we are
Yes, I am
having to
working
deal
again.
with
Go me.
okay, how do we manage this? Because this is different than what we had for a year. I got used to you always being here, and then I had to
Right.
work through the feelings of feeling insecure about you being gone or
Yes.
being around a woman or something. I mean, like that. those are real, and I have to. That's what I was saying earlier. I have to like let the Lord like put on the mind of Christ and put on the helmet of salvation every single day because the enemy can really take me for a ride down that
Yes.
road, and then I can turn it into a fight with you, and then you're like, well, I can't even work. I mean, if you're going to be like this, what are we going to, So,
We've got a million stories to
but you
share,
know what brings
you
me
know.
back?
What's that?
What brings me back?
Sugar.
Well, but the marriage reboot and the things we learned about looking forward,
Yeah,
that's what brings me back. Because I
absolutely.
keep telling myself, you mean you can't drive if you're looking in the rearview mirror all the time, right? You're gonna have a wreck. And
Yes.
that's what it's like when your spouse or something traumatic happens, like what happened with us. If you keep looking back at what your spouse did, you're gonna have a wreck.
Yeah, we're absolutely right. And the more distracted you are while you're driving, the more likelihood you're going to have a wreck. And I'm a
Right.
very distracted driver
Oh
sometimes.
my gosh, don't go get me
I can
started.
turn a complete circle and
With
stare out
his
the back
head, and he's
window,
not even looking in the
but
I'm
the
like, "You're not even looking at the road."
but the arm is locked. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Don't do
Anyway,
that.
okay,
But yeah,
so
sugar and chocolate and what did you get today? You got that cream cheese
I got a
icing on a
brownie with
brownie,
icing on
and
it,
I got that turtle brownie.
and you didn't
And
like it.
both of well, I'm gonna give these guys a solid 6.
Wow, that's pretty
Presentation
bad.
was beautiful. Huh?
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, well, okay, let's do an 8. Presentation was really good inside of the little shelf thing. Presentation was good. It was God, I couldn't wait to get into that turtle brownie.
And then he was like,
Mm.
"What? This thing is
Yeah, but maybe it was an
stale."
anomaly
I
because
don't
we
know.
had got there close to the end of the day. But I'm
Yeah.
gonna recommend it. I'm gonna recommend it's called
Well, mine was amazing. So,
yeah,
okay, you all.
it's called My Sweet Addiction. It is
Yeah,
in
in
Carthage,
Carthage.
Texas.
I hope
And stop by.
bye-bye.
They make wedding cakes, birthday
Okay,
cakes.
yes.
Now, Shanna's
Yes.
mom also makes beautiful cake of any occasion, and
If you need
hers
a wedding cake,
is
if you need an anniversary cake.
you need a birthday cake. If you need
Anyway,
a
this is
breakup
so
cake,
off. I bet we lost every listener we ever had at this point. So, okay,
yeah,
listen. Here's what you can take away from today.
we have been
Here's
kind of
here's the
distracted today.
question that questions you can ask yourself, like to figure out if you need counseling or if you need coaching or if you need both.
Yeah,
So, do we need to heal something from the past?
that's
If you say
counseling.
yes, then you need counseling
Yes,
probably.
absolutely.
Are we ready to grow into something new? Then you're going to think coaching
Sweep
probably.
right.
Sweep right,
Sweep right.
sweep right, sweep
Absolutely.
right. You're ready to
And
get into
both
that
of them
place.
require humility and intentionality.
Both
Both
of
of them
them,
are going to
yeah,
require focus on both
yeah.
parties. Um, I'm going to tell you guys that the coaching that we went through and that we're now certified to do, but the coaching we
Mhm.
went through the last day, you are done.
I had a meltdown the
There
last
was
day.
like 12
Mhm.
pieces of paper on the wall. You know, it did look like a high school football room
It
or gym
did.
because there's different lines everywhere. And I'm
Yeah.
like, good God.
You're like, this is our
So
life. It's
I,
all on the wall.
yeah, I kind of
Like,
melted down on Saturday because I didn't really want to
I
go in the
think you
first place.
melted down on Friday and I melted down on Saturday because you were
Yeah.
like, Shanna, stop, you're being mean. I'm like, I'm not being mean. I'm ready to go. Like,
Yeah, that's true. And then Sunday we were just beat down to the point to where we were just like, okay, this is our life.
nobody's going to want to come to the marriage
Nobody's
reboot.
gonna save us. We're here. You
No,
know?
nobody wants to come to our marriage reboot, y'all. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
it
Okay,
is.
it really is.
It you know what? I do recommend it. And then not just because we're the ones that do it, but I do
Yeah.
recommend it. You know, and there are several coaches in Texas that do it. There's one in Houston, there's
Yeah,
one in
but
a
you need to
city
come
close
to
to us.
us.
But you know, we're awesome. You know, we don't walk on
Yeah,
water, but we
yeah,
don't sink very far. How about
yeah,
that?
yeah.
But
Well, we
anyway,
listen to the Lord more humble. We know that without him, we wouldn't be. So,
absolutely. Without the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ in our life, we would not be who we are.
but
Um,
hey, something good we did last week was we finally got our website up for the marriage altar. So if you go to shannawilliams.com and
mm,
you just click on at the top, there's a link that says the marriage altar. You can go there and that's our page. And that's where you can see more information about this. You can also see more information about any of our courses that we can take you through.
right.
And you can also schedule like a time to talk to us to see which way should we take you if you want to go with us and go through these processes. You can schedule a
Yes.
time with us and we can talk to you about it. And so I mean, we're super excited about it. We have been so busy with our businesses, but we still feel the Lord saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, you need this is my calling on your
Yeah,
life."
it does. And don't let the enemy get in your head because the enemy's been in my head ever since I started doing this stuff. Like Do you really have the time? You really want to do this? Do you want to have strangers in your house? And I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
no, I don't want to have that in my
No, I
house.
know. I'm like that too because I'm a very private person,
Hmm.
and I'm not what I don't have like that gift of hospitality, so I always get like worried that they'll have a horrible time here, you know? Like I'm just being
Absolutely.
honest. Like I'll forget to like I don't know do something important like feed them or something, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, I'm going to close with this tag. And it says, whether you're healing from your past or building toward your purpose and your future, your marriage still has a mission and
And let's rebuild it at the altar, at the
their
marriage altar.
altar. There's a reason why God told Abraham to sacrifice Isaac at an altar. There's a
Mm,
reason why there's altars all throughout the Old Testament.
so good
It's
to
because
remember. Yeah.
that's where you lay your sacrifice. And you've got to
Mm,
sacrifice your humility. You got to sacrifice your stubbornness. You got to
your
sacrifice
flesh.
your flesh at the altar. And I guarantee you guys, once you're there, once you have let God break you down where you have nothing left but skin
And bones.
and bone, He takes over and He brings you back in such a beautiful and loving way
Yeah.
that you can be that husband, that you can be that wife. But you need to heal the past
Yeah.
and you need to work on the present.
Yeah.
And there's two different subjects there. A counselor can't do that,
Mhm.
but a coach can help you with the present. It can help you with your future, and it can
Mhm.
establish those life goals and the commonalities that you have.
Yeah, and I would even say, I mean, it just left my brain. I had this thought,
Yeah.
and I guess that's perimenopause. Totally, it's gone. Like there's nothing
Yeah,
there.
we're at the hot flashes now. I have flashbacks. She has hot flashes, so we just flash each other all the time.
We'll be here all night,
We'll
ladies
be
and
here all
gentlemen.
night. Ka-doo-doo.
I don't
Anyway,
even remember what I
guys.
was gonna say. It was along the lines of what you were talking about with, like, coaching versus yeah, whatever. Oh, I was
Yeah.
gonna say this. Yes.
Okay.
So listen, God wants your marriage to
It
work
does.
way more than you do.
Yes.
Like, you come to him in humility and
Mm.
you bow before him and you say, I'm going to meet you at the altar, Lord. I'm going to sacrifice because the altar is about sacrifice, what you just said.
Absolutely.
Sacrificing of your time, sacrificing of, well, my gosh, laying just surrendering and laying your pride down, right?
Yes,
Coming
absolutely.
to the Lord saying, I need your help, is huge and he will meet you there and he wants us to work. He is for your marriage,
Right. Like, what would you
you
rather
know?
do? Would you rather go out and get that big buck? I know it's deer season, fellas. I know I'm not a hunter
There's some
anymore.
women that hunt too.
Yeah, men and women. I know there's a big buck out there calling your name. I'm not a hunter. Shannon's not a hunter. I'm not a hunter anymore.
Yeah.
But what's more important, getting that big buck or saving your marriage and becoming one with your partner?
Mm.
And I'm hearing the people say right now, man, that's a tough call, you know. But
Mhm.
that's where the altar comes in. That's where the sacrifice comes in. You
Yeah.
can sacrifice a week. You can sacrifice 6 weeks,
Mhm.
once a week, to come and save your future.
Yeah.
Because you're going to eat that deer in a couple of years. You put it in the deep freeze,
Yeah.
but your marriage is forever, and
Right.
you guys need to work on that too.
Yeah, that's really good, and
That
I
was
think
pretty
that's
good.
really
I'm pretty
true.
impressed with
And
myself.
I've never sacrificed for what I felt like God was telling me to do, and Him not bless me.
Absolutely.
I never. I can't ever remember a time.
Man, we prayed for a year before we hit this place of, you know,
Well,
of
and I think about the
stability.
sacrifice of you going to the marriage reboot was a sacrifice. You didn't
Oh,
want to do
yeah,
it. You were terrified.
I
You going?
was.
I kind of twisted your arm and talked you into going to that prophetic retreat. You
I
you
didn't
you
have
were
a
like, I didn't know,
choice.
but it was so good,
It
and
was
God
good.
blessed us so. You got so much word
I did
from
everything
the
I could to
Lord.
ruin that first day.
You did. Your
You
flesh
know,
was man. Your flesh was fighting.
yeah, but it was worth it. And
It was.
if you want any more information on that, the person who does that, Rebecca Friedlander, she is a international artist.
RebeccaFreelander.com. She's amazing.
She's an artist, and she also has a little chapel on her property, and that's
Mm.
where she does these
Does
retreats.
these
And
retreats?
she's
Yeah.
got a 6 week coming up. No, I'm not 6 week, 10 day.
Yeah,
She's
I'm
got a 10 day
going to
coming up that
that.
Shannon's going to go. So I
I
got
think it's
10
in
days
March.
of fishing and just kidding.
It is
But
so amazing.
yeah,
Like I cannot tell
so
you anytime you can separate yourself from the world and just get alone with the Lord, whether that be with your spouse or just you
absolutely.
alone. you are never going to come back
You won't.
unchanged. You're going to come back changed and better.
And now, if you're Baptist, it's spirit filled. There was a lot of
You need to come
tongues.
on over to our
Come on over to
side.
our side. We're the good side. We're fine. But really, as long as you're in church, that's good. But there's a lot of tongues flying around. I spoke in tongues half the time I was there, and I just started doing it. I'm like,
No, we lost the other one listener we had.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
All right, so all you 3 listeners out there, I probably offended you in one way or the other today, but you know what?
Oh
It's
my
okay.
God.
It's okay.
We're not very professional. Okay.
No, it's
Anyway.
been a fun episode, though. I
Yeah.
think this is what people.
The realness. We are
Yeah,
real.
we
So,
are real. We are real.
we're real.
My grandson says that.
You're not real.
You're not real. You're not real,
Okay.
says he. Anyway, okay, I'm going to shut up, guys. And look, God loves you. We love you. All 3 people listening, God's got your back.
He wants your marriage to work.
And if you want any more information on anything that we talked about, contact Shanna.
ShannahWilliams.com. You can email me at shanna@shannahwilliams.com.
And she is more knowledgeable about it than I am. I'm just along for the ride.
Yep. That's right.
We love you guys. Have a blessed
All
day.
right. See ya.
Bye.